It's David Ingram. The program is Around the World, which you can usually find at www.david-ingram.com. And I'm talking about bankruptcies with Murray Morrison and Cheryl Nickel. And what I want to do is just a quick 10 minutes on rebuilding credit. You've gone bankrupt, and you've got to get started again. And I guess I'll take one more second here and say, people tell me, well, I can't go bankrupt, won't have any credit. But when you're in a position where you got 15, well, your credit cards have all been stopped and you owe $185,000, or whether it's $17,000 or $185,000, you don't have any credit anyway.
That's absolutely right. The sooner you go bankrupt, the better.
If you go bankrupt, you can start rebuilding your credit from now on.
Exactly. Exactly.
So your suggestion is you get a secured credit card.
No. You prepay them. It's an interesting thing, and I think it's a good thing. You have to be discharged from your bankruptcy, and that's when, just to back up for a little minute, under the credit reporting program, 6 years from the last negative event on your credit bureau, which coincidentally is the length of the Limitation Act in British Columbia, everything falls off the end. So if you've done nothing, you're waiting for the 6 years to go by, and you haven't got any credit, there's a blank. And then you don't get credit because you haven't had any, you don't have a history, and so on and so forth. So my view is, and Cheryl will elbow me if I'm wrong here, but this is the lawyer's view, get a prepaid credit card. You can get a MasterCard or a Visa. I think you can pay a minimum of $500 and up to $1,500, I believe, on one of them. You pay that money to the card agency. You get the card. You cycle the card. And on the bureau, is paid as agreed is the term, I think. And so even though there's 6 years with this R9 down there, which you had before you went bankrupt, so the worst you can get, you're starting to show little bits of good things happening. And the thing that astounds me is ultimately because the credit card folks are in the business of selling money at relatively high rates of interest, along will come one of those "you've been pre-approved for" letters. If you take them up on that and the new credit card arrives, and you send the prepaid one back, if you choose to do that, I would be pathetically grateful and I wouldn't send it back, but if you choose to do that, you get your $500 back. You know, whereas I would have thought,
because it's a deposit.
Yeah, I would have thought that, well, that's our fee for issuing this high-risk person a credit card, and so we're keeping it. Thank you very much, and thank you for using our card, and call us when you need us again.
Well, some of them will have to, the same card. You can move from a secured card to and they'll move you through 2 or 3 different levels. Capital Direct has 3 or 4 different levels, if I'm not mistaken. 3 levels.
More than one level. I'm not sure how many.
Yeah, I don't
anyway, you know how I got my card? Because I applied for about 4 different cards after my bankruptcy, and nobody was going to give me one. I was walking with Jane, my daughter, who you've met, and Mitchell, through Canadian Tire, and this cute young thing came up with about 25 pens with flashing lights on them around her neck, and a clipboard, wanting to get me to apply for a Canadian Tire Options MasterCard. So I was just saying no, because there was no sense in whatever. But they gave you a pen if you. And Jane, who was 13 years old at the time, wanted the pen. So I filled in an application because she wanted the pen, and they sent me a credit card with a $2,000 limit. Excellent. Which is now $16,800, just for the record.
Yeah, they do grow, don't they?
They do grow. It's amazing if you use them. It's got $4,800 worth of Canadian Tire money on it, too.
That's a good thing.
Which
is
a
lot of car repairs.
Well, that's what I've got it there for. I still have that. They're not going to give it to me mode. Mindset, you know the mindset.
I do.
I still have to carry, $500 cash in my pocket because they might not. The card they might cancel it or something. And I've got this money on the Canadian Tire card, which I think I spent $100 of at one time, because it's emergency car repairs if I need something. I could use it to buy forks, or I could use it to buy something else, but it's so there's a debtor's mindset that we get into. And you have to go back. It's funny. I consider my last divorce, which was the only one that was acrimonious, and the bankruptcy be two of the finest things I've ever gone through. Because up until the last divorce, I could not understand why people who were divorcing were in all this controversy. I mean, surely two intelligent people can sit down and arrange it until you have somebody that doesn't want to sell or doesn't want to negotiate or something, I don't know, or only wants to negotiate for 100%, which is what my ex-wife wanted at the time. And the bankruptcy thing is, I could have gone bankrupt any day for 15 years. All I had to do was go in, and it took the tax office to do it for me, to give me my freedom. So, but having gone through bankruptcy, I now have a whole other understanding. Right?
Yeah. And
you can't have it without doing it.
That's right. And had you gone bankrupt because of credit card debt, your understanding would be different again. You know, your bankruptcy was
there was still $20,000 worth of credit card debt.
But it wasn't a causative factor. It wasn't.
Oh no,
oh
they
my
were all
gosh,
up to date.
I'm helpless.
I had a perfect credit rating.
Exactly. So you have missed.
And I didn't expect it.
Yeah, you missed that chapter. On I can't pay the credit cards. I'm borrowing on this credit card to pay that credit card, and I'm going crazy, and I just can't stand it anymore. What do I do? You know, you avoided part of that bit of nastiness. The divorce, well, sometimes people get mad. But your bankruptcy, no offense intended, was relatively simple.
No.
You know, I mean, you had one creditor barking at you, a major creditor with fairly long fangs, and ultimately, over a period of time, it got dealt with, and you were forgiven.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you dealt with it, my friend.
Well, that's my job. You know, but it wasn't. The challenge was to get the parties to a table, because you were mad at them, and you had fought with them for 15 years and liked that.
I enjoyed the
And they were mad at you. Exactly. And they were mad at you because you fought with them, and you're not allowed to fight with them. You're supposed to pay your taxes and be a good citizen.
I said it to my son Peter the other day. The only thing wrong with my life is I have nobody to fight with right now.
Get remarried. You'll be fine.
Was that all it takes?
That'll do it. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I need a wife. No, here's my statement. Here's the pitch for it. If you're in financial difficulty, I don't care where you live, I don't care what you do, you need to get yourself a bankruptcy lawyer. Because I used to talk about bankruptcy, I wrote articles about bankruptcy, I did radio programs and television programs on bankruptcy. I didn't have Earl Sands was a friend, right? And I didn't really understand bankruptcy until I was bankrupt. And I didn't really understand bankruptcy either until I went and saw this man. Because, again, I had to go bankrupt before I recognized that I had to be put into bankruptcy before I recognized that the trustee was not my friend in any way, shape, or form. No, my trustee was not my friend. And you may have somebody else that is your friend or better, or you know them better. But my statement to you is you go and you find yourself a bankruptcy lawyer so that you have somebody who is working for you and you can talk to and you can say what happens if or what if and where is. I'm not talking about doing something criminal. You can just talk, because sometimes the most innocuous question, I know somebody in Toronto who showed up at their bankruptcy trustee's place and absolutely totally upset because their father was in a car accident and might not live, and all that the bankruptcy trustee wanted to know is how much you're going to inherit. And
that's his job.
That's his job. So you need somebody that you talk to. And my statement is, I don't care how much you like the bankruptcy trustee, you don't talk to them. I don't care how nice the IRS or the CRA agent who's phoning you to collect tax dollars sounds, you don't talk to them. You just don't talk to them. You get your accountant or somebody else to set up your orderly payment of debt or whatever it is. Because I guarantee that when you talk to that person, they're not going to be like Cheryl talking about the department store trying to keep a client. The IRS and the CRA doesn't need to try and keep you as a client. You are their client. And you need somebody in between. So Murray Morrison is who I recommend. His phone number is 930-9013 in Vancouver, area code 604. And if you happen to live in Toronto or you live in Sarasota, Florida or something or other, you might want to phone him and ask and talk to him about bankruptcy in general, whether it's Chapter 7, Chapter 11 in the States or in Canada. He does know the rules just about for everywhere, and he might be able to refer you to somebody. He's also a do-gooder, which is, the only way I can say it. Thank you, Cheryl Nickel, for coming in. And it's the Debtors Asitance Society.
That's right.
The phone number is 951
4357.
4357, area code 604-951-4357. And if you've got an association or something that wants to get some debt counseling for your members, give them a call.
Thank you, David.
They're
Thank you.
volunteering.
Yes.